Chaplain Godoy, thank you for joining me today. Can you tell me a little bit about the police chaplain program within the department? Like, when did it start?
From what I know, it's Chaplain Michael Reynolds that was sworn in 1988 or 89 that was the first chaplain. And I have 16 years with the department. I think I started out and they had Chaplain Teves. My former pastor, Henry Kahalihili, was a chaplain, I think for 15 years before he passed away, and he loved being a police chaplain. So yeah, it's been around that long time.
How do people become a police chaplain?
Well, we have to apply, we have to pass a background check, we have to be licensed or ordained with some kind of religious organization, a denomination. So we put in all that paperwork and we don't have anything horrible in our past and we fit all the qualifications, then there's an interview you have to pass. So we come and whoever is the sergeant and admin and myself or whoever, is the head chaplain does that interview.
So how many police chaplains, like when the program started out, how many chaplains were there compared to what it is today?
Well, we have the most now that we've ever had. I think at one point there was 3 of us. We had a lot of older, chaplains, they passed away. There wasn't a lot of aggressive recruiting. So we currently have 9, which I believe is the most we've ever had. 9 chaplains. We have 2 married couples. We never had, even 1 married couple that served as chaplains. We now have 2. We have 5 females and 4 males, which I just realized last night. I was like, wow, we actually have more females than males in our police chaplain program.
And what kind of denominations? Is it from all faiths?
Oh yeah. It's who applies to, but it is open to all faiths. You want a diversity, so we're always asking to, people, if you know someone, from your denomination and is interested.
So what denomination are the chaplains today? Like,
they're
just not all of them,
Christian, Episcopal, trying to think, we have a Baptist, and Foursquare, Assemblies of God. That's kind of our mix. And we've had Buddhist chaplains, and we've had I can't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember what Tevis. I think he was Congregational Church. So there's a mix, and they can apply. We don't always get applications from a large variety of people. So
what do police chaplains do?
Well, we do a lot of things. We do ceremonies, we do weddings, we do funerals, but I think the bulk of what we do is try to support our officers and their family. So we're all part of the peer unit, and we're all trained members of the peer unit. We're all trained to not just, we're trained to not just provide spiritual help, but to provide, practical help. I mean, we show up at, standoffs and bring sandwiches when we can, or coffee on a cold night. During the lava flow, twice a week we went out, we brought burgers and we brought drinks, and that was thanks to Chaplain Carmichael. He set that up in Puna. We'd go out, twice a week. Anything that's needed. We do assist with victims too if we're asked. Sometimes they ask us to come and help with victims or victims' families.
Now, is that if somebody is murdered or in a car crash?
Can be car wrecks. I think Chaplain Lonnie LaRua has actually responded to more of those really, fatalities, and crimes. We're just, as years go by, we get a little bit more accustomed to the needs of the department. I mean, only recently, maybe in the last couple of years, I've become more aware of what the detectives go through. We did a lot with patrol, ride-alongs, we became familiar with that, but wow, the detectives have stress. And so I get calls, sometimes we get calls from a sergeant, or they say, hey, can you come up to the hospital, and can you come help out? I had one when Brandon Konanui was a sergeant, and they had a veteran die at home. And he called and said, could you just come up? Because, when they come for body removal, it's kind of, They just put the body in a bag and take them, so I just went and, we did a little something around the bed and we prayed. And so when they took him out, and the care worker actually wrote a letter to the department because they'd never had, a veteran and somebody come and just do something small but respectful. So all kinds of things,
And
all kinds of things.
So is it that you'll get called out in the middle of the night on these?
Yeah, I get called at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I have my makeup on, and one of the officers actually said, "You go to sleep with your makeup on?" I said, "No, but I never come out without some of it on." But yeah, we get called 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Usually the peer unit will get called out by the peer unit, and we'll respond. We come.
No, what is that? What is the
Peer unit is a unit of police officers that are trained to provide support to each other, one-on-one, to do debriefings when there's a really bad incident that involves an entire watch, maybe, things like that. So they include us in their training, so we're trained. So, even if the person, and so if we have an officer that, is not a Christian or doesn't have any faith, doesn't matter, because we're trained to provide support to anybody, spiritual, emotional, any kind of help, and practical. And now Police Week is coming up. That's like the busiest week of the year for us. I think it's been over 10 years. We come down, we bring gift baskets, we bring goodie bags for all the patrol officers, we bring goodies for all the employees in the department. We are coordinating sign waving the last couple of years, so we'll be out sign waving, not just us, members of the community that want to come out and show support for our police officers. They have a tough job and they need more community support. So it wasn't hard to get people to want to sign wave for police. People were tired of negativity and wanted to come out and show their support. So that's
awesome.
coming up, yeah.
What does it take to be a police chaplain? What are some of the things you wished you knew before you signed up to be a police chaplain?
I don't know if there's anything I wish I knew. I don't know if there's anything I wish I knew, but you can't be super religious. You have to be able to
That's
handle.
interesting, coming from a police
No,
chaplain.
you can't. No, yeah, you have to hide it if you are. Because they have a tough job. They don't always use the best language, it's a tough job. So you can't be, you have to be able to handle all of that and be okay with it and just be a friend. Yeah.
And what do you find most rewarding about being a police chaplain?
Oh. Anytime you can help, anything. I love it all. I love it all. Love it all. I love it when we can come and it's, a cold night and bring coffee, and, they're working long hours, and I love, anytime you can help, lighten the load of their work in any way, practical, and they're a wonderful family, they take care of you, they include us. We feel like part of the Blue family. That's really rewarding, very rewarding.
Nice. Now, if people of different faiths who may see this, who want to become a police chaplain, what's the process? How do they volunteer to become a police chaplain?
They can contact myself, they can contact the police department. I don't know how many openings we have right now. We have 9 chaplains. We have chaplains in every district, but some districts we could use more because they're more active and they're busy, but we have very devoted chaplains. So we have 3 in Kona, we have 1 in Waimea, we have a married couple in Puna, there's Kath and myself in Hilo, and there's Ted in covers Hamakua. So, we want them all over, so if you get a middle of the night call, someone is able to get there quickly.
And do you have a chaplain in Ka'u?
No, but we drive out there, we'll drive out there. They call us, we drive out there, yeah. But actually we do, and I think that's Ted, but we will drive out there. We have, and we will.
So what made you want to become a police chaplain?
Oh, I love cops. Yeah, I love what they do. I feel they're underappreciated. I always felt they were underappreciated. It's a tough job. but I didn't really have any clue as to really how difficult it is, or the scope of their job. Like, I could not believe it when I started writing ride-alongs, that they have to respond to every single call, even if it's nonsense call or serious call or pick up a dead animal on the road call. I mean, I just could not believe the scope of their responsibilities. It's just mind-boggling.
And do you have members, family members in the department, or you just felt called to?
There's nobody. I don't know any. Well, I had one cousin, but he's not with the department. He was, I don't know how long he was. It's about it. Yeah, just felt a call to law enforcement, which also led then to involvement with fire and other first responders. And
Now, are police chaplains also chaplains for fire,
they help.
or are they separate? Do they have their own chaplains?
They have me, and we're working on a program. But back when Chief Ferrera was chief, and I think back as far as Harry Kubajiri, when we would ask, do you mind if we help with fire? And they all gave their blessing. They said, any way our chaplains can help fire. So currently I'm their fire chaplain, and I'm trying to help them develop a program. But anytime they need a chaplain, we pull our police chaplains in, because our police chaplains are all willing to help with fire when they have need. And we've responded. And a lot of the same incidents, police get called and fire gets called. So because I'm part of the fire peer unit, I'm gonna hear about those bad calls somehow. Police gonna call me, or fire, and we all love what we're doing. We all love it. Every chaplain we have absolutely loves it,
And the bad calls aren't just when somebody dies. It might be particularly gruesome. I don't think the public gets.
I think the worst ones,
that.
and how I like to tell people is, if you read about it in a paper and you're upset, can you imagine the first responders on a scene? They're not just reading it. They're seeing the emotion of the family. They're smelling it. They're touching it. They're handling it up close. They're there when the emotion is raw. If you're upset when you read about it in the paper, you multiply that by 100 and 24/7, 365, and that's what it's like. So if you get upset reading about it, just think about the first responder. And what I find is that they're not upset by the gruesome or the blood, or because they're tough people. They're upset. They'll tell you, they'll never forget the sound of the mother crying. I remember an officer talking about 1 week from retirement, his first pediatric was a little girl was hit, and it's the shoes in the street. That's what they cannot forget. Or grandpa, how he was at the scene. That's the tough stuff. Yeah. So they need a lot of support. Yeah. They need a lot more support from the community.
Well, thank you for joining me today and sharing your history and all that we not know about the police chaplains.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Sure.
Yeah.